Hey everybody, Kerzac here again, and today I'm reviewing the Transformers Vintage Beast Wars Optimus Primal. If you don't know, this is the re-release of Optimus Primal from the original Beast Wars mold that to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Beast Wars. This figure is also a Walmart exclusive, and from my understanding, it's kind of interchangeably being called the Vintage line, the Vintage Beast Wars line, and the 25th anniversary line. It's hard to say because we also got re-releases back during the 10th anniversary, so there are some differences between this and the other molds. From what I understand, this is based on the most recent version of the mold that was also used in the 10th year anniversary, but I'm not 100% on that. The big controversy kind of surrounding this figure is that it is retailing for $52.99, and I can kind of understand why it's a big deal considering the price and everything. That is the price of a leader class. But there is one thing to take into account, because if you do stand him up, let's get him standing in gorilla mode real quick. Because if you do stand him up, you can see he's a pretty big figure. Then we bring in a current leader class like Grimlock here, and put him side by side. His legs are a little loose. I don't even have the legs fully stretched out, but you can, I'll show this in better robot mode, but you can see right off the bat, this was $50, this is $52.99. I can see why the price point is a stickler for some people, but because from what I understand, the original was only $20 back in the 90s. But considering current plastic prices and the size of this figure, I can kind of understand why it's retailing for $52.99. So yeah, here he is in gorilla mode. He looks pretty good. I'm not sure if there's any differences from the last mold in the gorilla mode. From my understanding, most of the differences you mainly see in robot mode. And for comparison, I also have the vintage 25th anniversary Rat Trap, so you can put them right there next to Primal. And I didn't see Cheetor or Megatron, but I do have my original the actual original Cheetor from the 90s. So you can kind of put those three together and get a good idea of how they look together. They look pretty good. You can kind of tell these are the 90s toys, especially after seeing the more recent Beast Wars figures from Kingdom. But it's still pretty neat to actually have these, especially like new ones. So yeah, let's look at the detail on him. You see his face is pretty well painted. I believe this is actually gray plastic with the black painted. And then we have the yellow teeth and the blue eyes, which looks pretty good. You can see all the detail you expect. You can see kind of the underarm where the robot mode is, all that stuff. You can see with the hips, but even the current Optimus Primal figure kind of has that problem, so yeah, it looks pretty good. I don't really care that they still have the hollow fist, but that was in the original too, so I can't really say much. And you can see nice back where all the stuff is at, and you can see the switch there, and we'll get to that in just a second. But yeah, it looks like Optimus Primal. It's a nice little figure. It feels heavy, I'll give that. This actually really does feel pretty heavy. So if you're wondering about the switch on the back, it's for his gimmick in this mode. You flip the switch up, and he has a chest pounding gimmick. Yeah, you can hear there's clicks in there. So you turn your arms in, kind of bend them in a little bit, and you can see, you kind of have to bring the arms in a little bit more to get it going, like that. He still has his chest pounding gimmick to kind of show how the switch looks on the back. Just kind of going like that. So yeah, it's kind of fun that he does actually still have his original gimmick. It does worry me kind of trying to reposition the arms though, because you can hear the gears clicking in and out of place in order to move the arms. So I'm glad they see they left the original gimmick in, but it also does kind of worry me that I might be wearing those gears down whenever I move his arms around. So that's always a thing. He does have accessories. He has some missiles, and he has 4 of them in total. He does come with 2 swords, and he does come with his mace that the original toy came with. The reason I'm not showing the air missiles, the mace, and the swords is that they're actually all stored on him right now. And we'll actually show that in just a second, as in order to start transformation. Actually, not start transformation, but in this mode he does have a little button, and you can see that's where the missiles are. They're missile launchers. And you can see the swords are stored on either side of the missile launchers there. And those click back down. I will say one problem I have is getting these to lay back down. They don't always quite catch. You can see I get one to catch and the other one kind of wants to be a pain about it. I'm not sure why. I think the part that catches it isn't quite sticking out all the way, so That might just be my copy, though. And as for the maces stored, it's, of course, in the arm, like it's always been. Pretty cool. And the other two missiles go in his arm missile launcher, but there's no room for the missiles to fit in there when it's folded away, so... Oh, there is one thing I want to talk about. Apparently the blue on the swords and the missiles is a different hue from the previous releases. I'm not sure what kind of difference, as I don't have any of the previous Optimus Primals, but the blue plastic is a slightly different blue plastic, so there's that. So yeah, pretty good in ape mode. He's got all of his gimmicks, he's got all the stuff going on, so let's go ahead and get him transformed. It's pretty simple, just straighten out the legs here. Go ahead and rotate them around. You can see it gives him his robo crotch. Flip these parts out to make his feet, and they got little struts on them. The gorilla toes actually fold in to give him more of a flat look. It's kind of weird because it actually still has like a toad look, but it looks like it's put away. It looks like almost like an elephant foot. And I will warn you, the hips on mine are really loose. I don't know if that's mold degradation or if this is just a bad my copy, but the hips on mine are very loose, which is a bit of a bummer. Go ahead and bring the camera on up. Going to bring the arms on down. Going to just straighten them out. You can hear the clicking in there from where the gears are. We're going to come back here and go unlatch the shoulders. Like that. So you can kind of see this is where the whole animal transformation kind of stuff started, where you're just kind of standing up the animal and giving it and rearranging the limbs. Finally, take the head here, pop it off. There is a little clip right here, so you kind of have to lift it up like that. Bring it on down. Flip the chest piece around like that. And just bring it down, click into place. And you can see his mutant mask right here. I actually kind of like this mutant mask. I'm not usually a big fan of them. I'm not a big fan of them on Cheetor, but this one actually does look pretty cool. And originally this was going to be, it actually kind of references his bat mode. The original Optimus Primal was going to be a bat, so I actually kind of like it. But to get the transform his head fully, you just fold it down. Flip the little ear doolollies up. Kind of put the mutant mask back up and flip his head around. Lay the mask back. And there's Optimus Prime's actual head. So let's get him straightened up. And we'll take a better look at him. Alright, now we got him in robot mode. Let's go ahead and get him comparisons out of the way. Put him back there. Here he is next to my original Cheetor. And here he is next to the vintage 25th anniversary Rat Trap. Whatever we want to call him. Oh. Or I can just fling him, that works too. My Rat Trap also has some pretty loose ball joints, so he's having a little trouble standing. You can see his legs kind of keep on collapsing. Plus he's got a heavy back, so yeah, that's the best we're going to get. We're going to get him kind of leaning over right there. We can see how he stands next to him. And just to go ahead and get the kind of the comparison price point out of the way, here he is next to leader class Grimlock again. You see he's a bit smaller, but I will say he's about the same heft as Grimlock here. He does feel about the same weight, so it's probably just the plastic's not going into his height, it's going into other things, such as he has all his gimmicks and everything. So I'm assuming that's kind of why he's $52.99. It does kind of put it in perspective, though, considering the original was $25, I think, back in the 90s. It kind of does put it in perspective just how much our prices have gone up. But, you know, let's take a good look at him in robot mode. Starting with the face, it's definitely not accurate to the show at all. From what I understand, this is done a bit differently from the other heads in the past, as this is almost completely painted. You see the head, the helmet itself is painted in a dark, kind of shiny blue. And his faceplate there is done in white with red eyes. And I'm not sure why I went with the version with the faceplate. I believe there have been versions where you have his actual mouth, but this is based on the most recent mold, so I guess whatever the most recent mold was also had the faceplate. He is missing paint in the chest. The previous release, I believe, had red paint in the chest. Here it's just been left with gray plastic, so we are still missing some paint apps. You can see some red for the shoulders, red on the legs, a little bit of blue right there on the crotch. And that's about it for paint in this mode, at least new paint. Oh yeah, there's also the blue paint on the mask there, so there's all that. He looks pretty good though. He looks pretty good. I kinda like his almost Nemesis Prime colors to him. You know, with the exception of all the white and red, he actually does kind of almost look like a Nemesis Primal. So that's fun. So let's go ahead and do articulation. He does have a swivel at the head, no ball joints or anything, just a swivel. You get a swivel, clicky swivel right there. Shoulder does go out. but it doesn't hold, so it kind of just stops right there. So it can only go about to a little over 45 degrees. You do get a swivel up the arm, you do get elbow, and it's a decent elbow. It's a little over 90 degrees. Oop. And there's where I hit the gimmick button in the back. Waist swivel, ball joints, so they are loose, so but they can go that far forward and go out like that. No knee swivel, but he does have a pretty decent knee. And enough at the ankles. And also, with the exception of the knee swivel being missing, he's got pretty good articulation for the time. Like, Beast Wars really did kind of revolutionize articulation for Transformers. Because before this, it was G1 and G2. This is kind of when they figured out ball joints and really started giving them some crazy articulation. Yeah, gotta fix this antenna. So yeah, he's pretty good. And of course, we do have all the gimmicks still. The chest beating gimmick does still work in this mode, but it doesn't quite look right considering he's in his robot mode. Like I said before, you hit this button, flip out the missile launchers. I'll kind of point them now because sometimes these missiles do shoot off. You can see he does have little launchers here. Yeah, I'll press the button. Oh, it didn't even shoot. Oh, it got caught in the thing. Okay, there we go. We'll just... Okay, missile landed on the floor, so I didn't lose it. Good. That's what I was kind of worried about. You see, you have the missile launchers out, flipped over. You can kind of tuck the pieces in and kind of give them a more armored look if you want. Let me retrieve that missile before I forget where it goes. Alright. So we are going to just insert that back in there. Gotta line it up right. There we go. Missiles back in. Come back here and you can see both the swords just kind of peg in there. He has those weird curvy swords that Optimus Primal is known for. No paint on the swords, unfortunately, but like I said, it's a different blue plastic, so if you're getting this guy for parts, do know that, yeah, he's a different blue plastic from the original or previous releases, so the parts are not going to completely line up color-wise. So you can give him his swords, that's a pretty armed Primal. That's a Primal that's ready to ruin Megatron's day. Oh, it looks pretty good. If he can stand. But if he doesn't have the swords, he does have other weaponry. You can see this little tab right above his hand right here. Just click that up. And bam. Flips out a double-barreled gun. I always kind of love this gimmick. It's a lot of fun. Just bam. Missile launcher ready to go right in your face. And that's where the other two missiles go. So it does mean if you put the swords back where they go, you can actually store all of his stuff onto them in robot mode. If you don't mind the missile sticking out of his gun right here. So unlike Gorilla mode where you still have two missiles that will never go anywhere, you can store all the stuff on him, but it does mean he has two missiles sticking out for like a mile wide out of his gun. Kind of reminds me of Warpath, actually. Also, his feeling okay there to say, Optimus? You okay there, bud? There's a lot of bad jokes you can make with that. But yeah, there he is with the missiles. I do like showing him with the gun, but I don't really like showing him with the missiles, so I am just going to take that out, especially since it does seem to be weighing his gun down. Oh. And then with the ball joints, trying to get the gun. The launchers are also a lot tighter on that one. There we go. You see, without the missiles, it does snap back to being straight. So the way the missiles do kind of hold it down a little bit, and the missiles look kind of goofy in this mode anyway. Now we can flip open the other hand. Pull the mace out. And you can see the mace is all wound up in there. Just kind of pull it out and it comes out on a little string. And yeah, that is where that fossilizer face comes from. So close that back up. Get him standing again because his ball jointed legs are just not having it. Put the mace in his hand. Alright, and there we go. Now we have him armed up completely differently without his swords, and yeah, now he's got a different kind of melee weapon, really, to bash some Predacon skulls. I was going to say Decepticons, but he didn't fight Decepticons, he fought Predacons. Well, I mean, I guess he fought Starscream and Ravage, but anyway, you get what I mean. He's ready to shoot and bash in some Predacons. So yeah, pretty cool with all the little gimmicks. I think that's kind of the fun point of this figure, is just how much little stuff he does, and I do think he's a fun figure. I do wish the hips were not so loose. I wish we did get the paint in the chest, because without it, it does make his chest look kind of empty. It kind of makes his chest look like there's a piece missing. Especially with how hollow it is. So I wish they had done something about that. I also kind of understand why he's kind of shelf warming at $52.99. If you go on eBay right now, I think you can actually find him as cheap as $35-40, and for For that price, I can actually recommend him. For $35-40, I do think he's worth it with all those accessories, considering you can get him brand new in the box, because some people bought him thinking they could scalp them, and then nobody wanted to pay didn't want to pay $52.99 in the first place, so they definitely don't want to pay scalper prices. And yeah, I can kind of see why this is shelf form a little bit, because I think you can get the other releases for cheaper on eBay. Like I said, you can get this release for cheaper on eBay, so I definitely wouldn't pay the $52.99 that I paid, but I would recommend this guy for around the $30 to $40 mark. I do think he's worth that at least. Especially with all of his accessories, it is nice to have them all in one go. And I do like I said, I do like the colors on this version, because it does kind of give me a Nemesis Primal kind of feel to him. So, this has been not Nerdy Transform, Kerzac. I'm still using my old name over here. Force of Habit. Anyway, this has been Kerzac. I hope you have a good day. I hope you all enjoyed this review. Take care.